What's up, Gabe?
Well, hey there, Ian.
Hey.
And hey there, everybody. Welcome to Blank as a Fart. I'm Gabe. That's Ian,
It is.
or wherever he is, where you're looking.
Wherever he is. I'm
And we're
everywhere. Everywhere. Oh.
omnipresent. Thanks for joining us. We're watching Twin Peaks. We're on season 2, episode 2. We've got a lot of fallout still happening from that wild season finale and the even more wild season premiere. So we're kind of getting a new status quo for everybody after those big shakeups. What are you thinking about this week's episode, Ian?
Coma.
Coma.
Huh. I wonder if it's contagious.
They didn't put a lot of effort into that title this week, did they?
Nope.
Nothing like "May the Giant be with you."
No. And I'm just gonna tease it. Kind of was feeling the whole coma thing through the entire episode.
Yeah, bit of a running theme.
Anyway.
Yeah, I'd like to take a moment to remind everybody that originally, when these aired, they had no titles, and these titles were assigned as part of a German cable airing,
Oh, really?
and then translated back into English. So take those with a grain of salt. They don't appear anywhere on the box set where I'm watching. I'm just pulling them off of IMDb. So
I wasn't expecting to see Lynch's name on the director credit again this week. I was expecting someone else to take over, but it looks like he hung around.
well, for a little bit anyway. While we're at it, we can go ahead and mention that Lynch will only have 2 more directing credits after this episode, one of which is the finale, and he has no further writing credits for the series at all.
Okay.
His last, technically, the writing credit was just a story by for the season 2 premiere, but everything else out is Mark Frost and team in that writer's room.
I look forward to it.
Yeah, it gets different, but we still get the little flares. Boy, yeah, though there is no question about who directed this episode the way we open it, is there?
Yeah.
Starting it with breakfast at the Great Northern, Cooper is filling Albert in on some Tibetan history while a barbershop quartet warms up at the table behind them.
Why?
With cigarettes
Who
in
knows
hand.
why?
Because it's entertaining, right?
Fucking Cooper mowing down on his breakfast.
Oh, yeah.
And fucking Albert touches none of it. Except a piece of bacon across the other side that he picks up this piece of bacon, sets it down, and kind of wipes his hands. So I don't even understand why he picked up the piece of bacon to begin with.
Oh, for dramatic effect, 100%.
I don't even know. It was such a weird choice. I'm like, what?
No, it's just, I think it just kind of shows like Albert's lack of he's not impressed by anything in this town, including the cuisine, I guess is how I would phrase that.
No, but what I'm saying is
just general shitty attitude.
No, but like Cooper, it's on Cooper's side. It's on his left side. So like Cooper's like messing around with something and a piece of bacon falls off. Or when he's picking it up, it's sitting there. And Albert reaches across Cooper's plate and grabs it and brings it back across to his side. You should go back and watch. It's the weirdest fucking thing. And it's like, why did you do that?
Yeah, I don't recall seeing anything like that.
You should watch it again. It is a weird fucking thing. We should watch this together, really. But because like I point out, sometimes I'm like, what the fuck? Why did you do that? I get that the barbershop quartet was back there, and I was not to be derailed by it. It's like, sure, it's fucking David Lynch bullshit.
That's window dressing.
I was more like, what the fuck is he grabbing this piece of bacon on fucking Coop's side of the plate? What? Anyway.
Yeah, I did not notice.
You should just check it out. Just like go back and watch it. The first like 2-3 minutes of that. It's just like, what? Anyway.
Yeah, that's worth looking at. It's a fun scene overall. There's a lot of good dialogue here between Cooper and Albert. We get a little bit more of like how, they're definitely friends. They've known each other a while. So yeah, you get.
I don't know if they're friends, but they're
bit,
definitely acquaintance. They're very like.
Well, they're colleagues. Yeah.
Right.
But we do get a little less of acerbic Albert here, and a little more of like genuine Albert. So I like seeing that. I like seeing Miguel Ferrer flex his chops a little bit and
And
be a little more
a
three-dimensional.
slight like he cares, even though he brushes it off. Is no, it's just what you
Yeah,
would.
but no, even like the way he asks that question, it comes from there is genuine concern in his
Right.
voice. Like, and it's a complete departure from everything else that has come out of his mouth
Well,
for the
right.
rest of that series. And that's what makes it so
But
noticeable,
when
I think.
Cooper confronts him with it, then he's just like he becomes very defensive about it. You know.
Right. I'm sure, some therapist would have something to say about that. But, we get some interesting evolution from Albert, and that's a little taste of it right there. So they go over the police business of the day, which begins with Jacques Renault's autopsy, the evidence pointing toward Leo as the arsonist at the mill, and the lack of evidence available surrounding the attempted murder of Cooper. I love Albert's nicknames for the bellhop. Senor Drool Cup is a particular favorite. Albert confesses to having other motives for being back in Twin Peaks as he mentions the name Wyndham Earl. This is Cooper's former partner at the FBI, who has apparently recently escaped confinement from a mental institution. Cooper sees this as a very bad thing.
Bum bum bum.
Ominous pan over to the other side of the restaurant where we see Secret Asian Man.
Racist
And he's what?
as fuck.
Still Asian Man in the credits.
That's fine.
He's still a secret.
He is a secret. Well, it means like he's a secret to them. We
Secret to
know
us
about him.
as the audience.
Yes.
We just know he's connected to Josie somehow.
Somehow.
Now the only two Asians in town being connected, that's racist as fuck. Meanwhile, Donna is making her first rounds for the Meals on Wheels program. We visit her as she makes a stop at the elderly Mrs. Tremont's house. I'm sure you recognize Frances Bay. Everybody recognizes Frances Bay. She's been somebody's grandma on something or another for the last 20 years.
Right.
Well, I guess I haven't looked her up.
Yeah, she might not
I
be.
don't think she's with us anymore.
She could be.
But yeah, I'm sure everybody
She's with
remembers
us in
her most
spirit.
fondly.
She's with us in spirit.
And with all of her classic work like Happy Gilmore. Mrs. Tremont is bedridden, appears ill, and is also being visited by her grandson, a boy about 10. Got anything to say about that young gentleman in the corner there?
Oh, yes. First of
Let's
all,
get it out of the way.
I don't
Ian.
really
Let's
feel
get it
like
out of the
he's
way.
visiting, but it's basically like miniature David Lynch. Like he looks like David Lynch, he talks like David Lynch, he's weirdly weird like David Lynch. It's just like mini David Lynch
Now,
I don't know. It's fucking weird.
did you scan the credits?
Oh, is he related?
You could say that, yes.
Oh, I didn't even look.
He is, in fact, mini David Lynch.
Oh, okay. Well, there
That
you
is
go.
Austin. That is David's son.
Okay, yeah, because he like totally just talks exactly like him. He has the bouffant hair.
Mhm.
It's just very, and then the whole scene is just absurd. So anyway, the whole cream corn thing is just like
The creamed corn thing.
all
yeah.
right, sure, why not?
Speaking of which, let's give the details here. Mrs. Tremont seems disturbed by the creamed corn on her plate, so her grandson vanishes it directly into his hands. Apparently, he's studying magic.
Apparently,
Like that. Mrs. Tremont suggests Donna visit Mr. Smith next door, who was a friend of Laura's, and never leaves his house. The grandson adds a comment in French. J'ai un homme solitaire.
and that
I'm
is
sure I
translated.
mangled the pronunciation of that.
But the translation is
The translation is I am a lonely soul.
okay.
Donna knocks on Mr. Smith's door. Thanks, voice notes. But receives no answer. She slips a note underneath it, and as she leaves, she turns back to see someone peeking at her through the Venetian blinds.
Oh, bum bum bum.
Intrigue. Could it possibly be Mr. Smith?
Probably.
Is he maybe super ugly like the Phantom of the Opera or some shit? Potentially a leper. Who knows?
Doubtful.
Maybe we'll find out next week. Tune in. Back at the hospital, Cooper and Harry are visiting with the recently awakened Ronette Pulowski. Some more trademark Lynchian slapstick as Cooper and Harry have some difficulty adjusting the height of their stools.
Tough.
You didn't find that amusing?
Nope.
I laughed my ass off.
Of course you did.
I didn't remember it at all.
Oh, really?
I didn't have any recollection of the scene, but as soon as it started, what got me was Cooper apologizing to Ronette the whole time.
The other thing is weird, though, when I'm watching it, is like the way Cooper is acting. I thought he was hurting. He was in pain. Like, I know he's like, it's loud, but like he actually made it sound, almost looks like he's like in pain.
He is.
So it's just funny.
This is a day after he got out of surgery.
He seemed fine this morning at breakfast.
Well, he was hungry. He'd finally gotten a good night's sleep. Also, you didn't see him attempting to sit or attempting to stand during breakfast. He was already seated.
I suppose.
In defense of continuity.
Sure.
Cooper asks Ronette to help them identify the men who hurt her. He shows her a picture of Leo to a little reaction, but the picture of Bob sends Ronette directly into a seizure, and the nurses run in to sedate her.
And the lights go out. Everything goes crazy.
Mm-hmm. Pretty intense scene right there.
This Bob guy must be a fucking piece of work.
Must be.
Is he even real? I don't know. I hope he's related to Jock. Or not Jock, Dr.
Dr. Jacoby.
Jacoby. They should be related.
To Bob. You're just saying that because they both look like old hippies.
Yep, I am.
Yep. Meanwhile, the Horn brothers...
No. We should refer to them as the Brothers Horn from now on.
The Brothers Horn?
On this episode of the Brothers Horn, smoked cheese pig.
Smoked cheese pig. It looked delicious. I'm not going to lie.
I don't know.
I wanted to buy it. It did.
It looked like a candle. I don't know if it looked like a smoke. Actually, anyway, go ahead.
It looked like Gouda to me. I like Gouda.
All right.
Oh, yeah. The Brothers Horn are discussing which of the mill's ledgers to keep. The one doctored by Catherine that shows the slow slide into bankruptcy, or the real one that shows the mill turning a healthy profit. As Jerry munches on his smoked Gouda pig, the brothers conclude that the only thing they should be putting into the fire is marshmallows.
Ben, where are those hickory sticks?
And then the weird fade out into the commercial.
It's so fucking bizarre.
Really, there is just some... Like, regardless of whether or not they're discussing their many crimes, there is still some, like, this element of childish purity to the interactions with the Brothers Horn, and I love every second of it. I love the energy behind it.
Where are the hickory sticks was just like, oh my god, what a line. Those guys. Anyway.
Those guys. I have fun with it. I'm enjoying that part of it more this time through than I had in times past. There's other stuff I'm certainly enjoying less, though. First trip to the Double R this week, where Andy the dumbass is being utterly defeated by Scotch tape as he tries to post a flyer with Bob's image, while Major Briggs looks on incredulously, sipping from one of those cone-shaped coffee mugs.
Because David Lynch is directing this week. I bet next week no cone-shaped mugs. 100%. I'm putting.
We'll see. We'll see. There were two different colors this week. Did you notice?
Yeah, they had a black one and then a kind of a normal color, the normal color one, which was interesting.
Looked dark green on my TV.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah. I mean, it could have been.
I saw a green one and a brown one.
Yeah.
The log lady arrives and takes a seat next to the major. Norma, blah. Who am I, Tony Danza? Hey, Norma. Norma offers a warm welcome before kindly but firmly reminding Margaret about the etiquette concerning spitting out gum in the diner.
Not only that, but her fucking tree sap gum.
Yes.
Which is like pitch gum, like different than normal gum because she's a weird tree lady. I thought that was like... And then it just became very apparent. So like I wasn't really paying attention to her chewing gum until once Norma pointed it out was pitch gum, then I just kept and then you just keep watching Log Lady chew this gum.
Yeah,
very like,
it just becomes part of her personality.
and I'm thinking about it like pitch. It's got to be like worse than regular. It's got to be. I don't know. In my head, I started overthinking what pitch gum
Right.
was.
It's got to be like huffing Pine Sol or something,
And just sticky as fuck.
Yeah, like imagine Pine Sol flavored taffy that never dissolves and has no sugar.
This whole sequence is just fucking out of it, man. Like,
Yeah. I like everything with Major Briggs. Major Briggs has become one of my favorite characters.
oh really? Holy shit! It's
Oh
just
yeah.
he's so weird. I mean, I guess that's the whole point. But he's just so kind of like he doesn't.
I think
doesn't shake it. Doesn't give us two shits about how weird fucking Log Lady is. He's just like, oh yeah, okay, no, yeah, just normal conversation.
Approaches everybody with the same level of politeness and kindness, just kind of like Cooper does. But with the Log Lady, I think he takes it to an even more, like, when she talks about, have you met or do you know it?
Right. Do you know?
Like, right. Oh no,
I don't know.
We haven't had the pleasure. I haven't been introduced.
Well, here's the thing. Then I mean, these two federal, people that work for the federal government are the most open-minded and willing to communicate to the public. It's like
weird. It's weird how these two paragons of virtue in the show are the feds.
It's just like, what?
Right? Yeah. Seems very, very strange. Yeah, you don't see any kind of corruption at like a governmental level in this show.
So weird.
Which, maybe that's some of the idealism of the late 80s, early 90s. I mean, if you look at Lynch's influence, like the 50s and 60s sitcoms, cops were definitely depicted as very trustworthy and, stand-up community figures in that day and age.
It just strikes me as so funny, especially nowadays. Like, it's just the opposite, It's like you would not trust any of these motherfuckers,
Yeah, no. Thanks to NYPD Blue, all cops have to be racist and flawed now. So
yes.
It's weird. Yeah,
you mean reflect
signals.
Society,
right?
Oh, we got some. Oh my god!
An accurate depiction of a real cop.
We have a comment.
We have
a person in the. We have Beats 77. That scene scared the shit out of me. I don't know what he's talking about. And then I like the use of "he's so weird" referring to a David Lynch character. All right. Okay. Sure. Fine. That character might have been a Mark Frost character.
Could be.
Jeez, get off my back, Beats.
I think maybe the scene that Beats is referring to is the still I used for our promo this evening on Instagram. We'll be getting to that later in the show, but I agree 100%. That's one of the more memorable scenes of the series as a whole, and I wasn't expecting it in the episode when it appeared, so looking forward to talking about that later here. We are back to Margaret verbally testing the Major for arrogance and unkindness. I really like this little bit of sparring here. It seemed pretty obvious to me, like she just kind of questions him about his medals, and he's like, I'm not necessarily proud, but they're accomplishments. And yeah, that pride obscures something like that. So I think, that was just like a quick test that the Major passed pretty easily. And shortly after that, she lets him know that the log has something to tell him, which is deliver the message. A little circular, but oddly enough, the Major seems to understand exactly what the log is referring to.
Beats was referring to the Bob scene.
Yes.
Okay. So that's the scene you're talking about? Okay.
Yes, it is.
All right.
Okay, so we have more slapstick as Lucy hunts down a fly at the reception desk while Andy paces back and forth outside the front entrance, clearly working himself up for something big.
Oh, here's something that I forgot to mention and that I started to really think about. How much of this is actually shot in the studio? In a studio, do we know?
I'd have to double check that.
Because looking at this particular scene of of Andy walking, pacing back and forth outside, I kind of got the feeling that was a giant matte painting behind him, and it wasn't actually outside.
No, if I remember right, the sheriff's station scenes were filmed at like a facility that they rented out,
Okay.
which is now like the offices of a construction company or something like that. I'm pretty sure that's in the IMDb trivia, but I'll double check on
Because it
that.
didn't look real. Like, it looked like the grass was laid down, and all looked very kind of, I don't know. It looked weird. And there's another scene also in this episode that I forget. I'm forgetting which scene it is now, but it definitely looked like the outside looked like it was in a studio.
It's
it's
totally possible.
It's actually the Donna stuff when she's doing the Meals on Wheels. Like, it looks outside, but it feels very fake for some reason to me. And so I was
wonder
just like,
if that's just video transfer from
maybe
standard def.
But it's pretty easy to do that kind of shit. So I was just like,
But I know they filmed a lot on location, like the double R and shit. So
I get
I
that,
don't understand
but
why
I'm
they
just
wouldn't do that for other scenes.
for some of this easy, simple shit that you just kind of move some dirt around, and I don't know. Anyway,
worth looking into. That's something that Andy's working up for, is to mention to Lucy that while he was doing his civic duty, donating sperm, he has discovered that he is sterile and is not capable of aiding in conception.
now wait, is this the first time we actually do find out about that she's pregnant, or did we learn? Yeah,
no, we know she's pregnant,
but we don't really know.
She said to him, "I'm pregnant."
Oh, okay.
She's actually said that.
I'm forgetting that part.
And she did get the phone call from the doctor.
Right, I remember that, but I don't remember.
Right.
I forget her actually saying it to him.
Yeah, it was just in that scene where they made out in the break room.
Oh, right. Oh, I remember. Yeah, and then they walk off. They leave, and he fought. Yeah, okay, I remember that now. All right.
Yeah. So anyway, Andy's sterile. Sounds like Lucy's got some splaining to do. But we get no splaining. She just gets wide-eyed and remains silent, responding only by ripping a stray piece of tape off of Andy's dumb forehead and slamming the glass partition closed.
Mm-hmm.
Things are not what they seem with Lucy. Ooh.
Or it is, because this town's weird, and maybe it's immaculate conception.
Right?
There's no. I mean, she could be completely
Lucy
faithful.
giving birth to David Lynch Jesus.
Yes.
Move to Harry's office, where an antagonistic Hank is making his weekly parole check-in. After a tense couple of moments, Hank exits, and Harry fills in Cooper on the backstory. They were childhood buddies. Hank used to be one of the good guys.
A bookhouse boy.
A bookhouse boy until he broke bad and started dealing drugs.
Part of me was going to say that, like, before they even said this, like, I knew there was a relationship there, but I was kind of thinking they were going to they were brothers.
Like actual brothers?
Yeah.
Or blood relation somehow?
Yeah. I wasn't going with brothers, but, then it's like, oh, okay, I get that. But I could have seen them both as brothers. They both have that tall hair, that kind of receded forehead, and they kind of have a similar look. So I was like, they could have been brothers. I would have gone with brothers, Lynch. It's weird.
Or Frost.
It's weird that you didn't go that way. But completely normal that Frost did go that way.
In a town that small, I'm sure, like, high school
everyone's
friends
related.
are just as close as brothers.
No, in a small that town, everyone's related.
So. Probably like 3 generations back tops. Then Lucy puts through a call from Ben Horn, who lets Harry and Cooper know that Audrey has been missing for about 2 days now.
This is, Coop is
flabbergasted.
Yes.
What has that poor young woman gotten herself into?
Shot through the heart, and you're too late. Anyway.
As Ben completes the call, Jerry arrives in his office with the insurance policy that Catherine had refused to sign. No payout for Josie, but the brothers Horn don't seem to be too bothered by that. They get on the phone to do some glad handling with the Icelandic investors, but are irked to discover that Leland has already contacted them to inform them about the fire at the mill.
Well, Leland has come in at that time, too.
Yeah, he comes in right in the middle of their phone call, and that's when they find out, Mr. Palmer already called.
Hmm.
And Leland, beams with pride at fucking this whole thing up. Ben tries to chase Leland out of the office as Jerry attempts damage control over the phone with his limited language skills. It doesn't take much convincing as Leland immediately gets distracted by the flyer of Bob on the end table. He claims that he knows him, that he knew him when he was a little boy, and that he lived next door to his grandfather's summer house.
Hmm. Everyone
What's
knows
your
Bob.
takeaway from that?
Nah. Hmm.
Nah?
I don't know about this one. Leland knows Bob. I don't know. This whole
Nah.
Bob thing is like so simple. Like such a let's just throw this thing in here. I'm not a big fan of Bob.
There is a backstory to the character of Bob, and I'm looking forward to filling you in on it.
All
But
right.
it's not something we can do for a
Right.
while yet.
That's fine. I just currently Bob as an entity that everyone's kind of going towards seems A too easy and B just ugh. I hate that kind of writing. So I'm not really big into this Bob idea concept. Anyway,
Anyway, at the hospital, we get our first look at Leo since the night he was shot.
still shot.
Doc Hay still shot. His acting seems to have improved. They only needed one take for that, I bet. Doc Hayward is filling Shelley in on the status of his condition. The bullet lodged in his spine, but they were able to remove it. They're not sure if paralysis is going to be permanent. But the blood and oxygen loss is what led to the current coma. He may never wake up. Or as Shelley puts it, is he a vegetable?
Coma.
An eggplant?
Another coma.
Coma! Coma!
Coma.
For Leo. At the sheriff's station, Lucy receives a call at the front desk that asks to be transferred to the sheriff, a request that she politely but firmly declines when the caller will not give their name. I'm not sure where that scene is leading, to be honest with you. There's a few people that could be. My guess, given the immediate lead-in, is that was Audrey.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of wondering why she wouldn't have just asked for Agent Cooper.
Right.
So, not sure who that is at this point.
Right.
At One-Eyed Jack's...
Okay, hold on a second.
By the way?
Yeah. So at this point right now, I'm also in a coma. This episode is boring the fuck out of me. I get... It's
a lot of setup again.
It's
a lot of
it's
just
set up, but
shuffling
it's also
pieces.
just weird. Like it's like, I get it. I get weird David Lynch, but it's almost like it's a parody of fucking David Lynch. It's like
It's made for TV, David Lynch.
Yeah, exactly. It's straight to DVD, David Lynch. It's just so like, so I'm like, until my heroine comes into the frame and breathes some fresh air into and actually does something. I'm just like, what is going on in this one? Can we go somewhere? I don't know. There's just so much goofiness going on in this episode. Like you say setup, but I feel like I was having a hard time. It kind of turns around here, but
yeah, you might not be liking The Return then.
Oh, really? Oh, this could be great.
I mean,
this could be really great.
Remember that The Return, is Lynch uncut. But I like to think that The Return, all of these weird, disparate little plot threads, they do tend to connect, if only for a moment.
But do they all connect into The Return at some point? Like, this all comes back?
Oh, I'm not necessarily speaking of the series as a whole as much as The Return as a whole.
Okay.
The Return by itself weaves a pretty complete tapestry.
Okay.
But again, like you get long stretches of shit with characters that you're like, why is this important? How does this even remotely connect to like what the main gist of the story is. And sometimes it takes a long time to find out. And sometimes that connection is very brief. And then sometimes it continues to follow that thread for a very long time after that connection, even though no subsequent connections happen.
Classic Lynch.
Classic Lynch.
Beats
It meanders.
Beats says, "Oh, there's so much Bob."
Bob is an important character.
All right. Cool.
You know, if nothing else, Bob is way, he's key to the whole creep factor of the show.
Okay.
Just the visual of Bob is mainly the key.
Okay.
It's just he's there to unsettle you. He's there to make you uncomfortable. And in that respect, he succeeds brilliantly, in my opinion. At One-Eyed Jack's, Audrey is somehow convincing all the other girls to let her do their jobs so she can get one-on-one time with Battis. This seems, like, does Audrey have some kind of mutant power of persuasion something?
She's badass. She's badass.
I mean, she is a badass, but just like, oh no, that's okay, or just like repeatedly gesturing with the head seems to work. And why are these women
Gabe, have you been
to her?
watching the rest of the series where she has basically just done what the fuck she wants to do? The entire series?
Yeah.
The entire series, she has basically enabled her ability to will what she wants to come in, and that is her superpower. She can just make it happen. She can just, oh, I need to go here, I need to get this, I need to do that, I need to do this. And
but
she
the
does it.
practicality of that is that she is the daughter of the richest man in town.
Sure, but who cares?
So of course she gets everything she wants when you bring that into play. But none of these women working at One-Eyed Jack's know that about her.
But that doesn't mean that she still doesn't exude a certain. She still has that. Just because they don't know her as this person, she is still of that person. She still.
Okay, yeah, I'll give you.
She still has that self-esteem.
She does carry
I guess
herself with a confidence,
right?
That another young woman of her age potentially would not. So,
and
okay,
she's in
she's
also in a situation that's she's in over her head, but her first thing, like her father's, which probably gets her, is to survive, is to do the thing that to just get the upper hand on people. You know?
That's fair.
And I feel like that's what she is, and that's how she's always come across until the end. That I have a very anyway. I'm very upset with this. Anyway.
Yeah, it's. I'm with you there. It does feel like there is a big gap between this scene and her next scene. It feels like there might have been a lot of stuff left on the cutting room floor in regards to how we got from this point to that one.
No, they just needed someone to. They just needed it just needed to fall so that Coop could save her ultimately, or something. Like it needed to. I think this is just a writing out. Anyway,
could be, but anyway, we'll get to that in a little while. So she gets some one-on-one time with Battis, who is into some weird shit. He's already tied up, so she doesn't really have to do much besides start to choke him to convince
I also
him
get
to
off
the
the
whole
sound.
story.
I also get off on the sound of vacuuming. Let me tell you.
It's more of this 50s housewife fetish,
right?
Man. It's fucking weird. So yeah, Battis tells her the whole story. Yep, Ben owns the place. Yep, Ronette and Laura worked there, got recruited through the perfume counter. Yep, her dad knew all the girls that worked there, and Laura got special treatment. Creepy. Bobby and Shelley are doing that teenager thing, making out in a car by the river, talking about the future. Bobby has a very teenage plan of exploiting Leo's disability payments to make money and lead the easy life. Shelley is rightfully skeptical, but she is an enamored young woman, and she seems to be willing to go along with the hot guy's plan.
I love her comment. It's something about like, I'm gonna lay you down, or I'm gonna make us comfortable.
I'm gonna eat you up.
But he goes, I think it's before that.
Where he talks about that's why he brought his.
Yeah, it's like she says a comment, and then he goes, "That's why I brought my dad's car," and that's just like pretty much that illustrates. That's the whole scene. Like I'm just a kid doing this thing for this woman. It's so funny.
It carried that vibe. They really did feel like teenagers, just starry-eyed,
trying to
fumbling in the
be,
backseat,
trying to not be
pretending to be grown-ups.
grown-ups, but then I brought my dad's car. And it's just like that.
Mm.
That line was so funny to me.
But it's a well-acted scene, I think.
Oh, pretty good, not bad.
The chemistry between them is good. It's a very good,
And he's
palpable.
gotten way better. He's not so unhinged and crazy. He's a
Yeah,
bit more
yeah,
chill. Yeah.
yeah. No more bug-eyed Bobby. He laid off the cocaine, I guess.
He put it in James's tank.
Yeah. And now that Leo's shot and Laura's dead, where else is he going to get more?
Right.
Kind of a forced hiatus for him.
That's why he needs the money.
Right?
$5,000.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Needs. He's jonesing. We're nearing bedtime for Cooper as he checks in with Diane via the ever-present tape recorder, remarking on the disappearances of Wyndham Earle and Audrey Horne, respectively, as the camera pans up from Audrey's note still resting underneath his bed. Irony. He receives an unexpected visit from Major Briggs. They compare notes as government employees before Briggs cautiously shares some small portions of classified intelligence that he works with. As they sorted through signals from deep space that typically register junk data, Major Briggs and his team discovered a message. The owls are not what they seem. Cooper doesn't betray the fact that he recognizes this message as he asks him, "Why did you bring this to me?" Briggs then reveals that another message was received. Cooper, Cooper, Cooper. These messages being sent around the same time that Cooper would have been having his vision after being shot.
Space messages from aliens. This is how we know that Lucy is pregnant by Jesus.
Right. We're getting out there here.
The only really thing I took away from this sequence is that I thought it'd be cool to have a shirt where it had the document and it said the owls are not what they seem, and on the back had the same document and said Cooper, 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 just like and then have all the just all the numbers. But then I thought that would make a cool shirt. Anyway,
that would make a cool shirt.
Anyway.
I'm 100% down with you on that. And I don't know if someone's jumped on that marketing idea or not, but you might be able to make a few hundo off an Etsy
few
shop.
Hundo, blank as a fart.
Few hundo, 6 hundo. Buy us a new camera or some shit.
Yeah.
And now we come to what is quite possibly my least favorite scene of the entire series.
This is such a weird fucking scene, dude.
Oh,
this is.
It hurt. It hurts every time I watch it.
I mean, I saw that. I saw this right now. I was like, why was there just like? Why? I mean, if they're just sitting here in the living room, why not like lay down a picnic blanket and have a picnic basket? But they're recording a song. Like, why are the microphones there? Like, what? Music time? Like, what, studio recording all of a sudden? What is? We've decided to become rock star recording artists? Like, there's microphones, but there's no speakers. There's no recording device.
And they don't seem. The chords are running somewhere.
But
and as a kid, I hated this scene, and I hated the scene specifically because of the impracticality of what we were hearing. Is like, where is the reverb coming from? Who's playing bass and drums?
But then just his voice is also like.
It's just this
like
weird,
like a child's voice.
Yeah, it's like he's a Muppet or something.
And I get it. It's that Earth
Angel.
They're having this rock and like is David Lynch doing his like 50s rock and roll sweetheart thing, and it's like both of the girls are eyeing him, and it's like, how can we get that vibe where like they both think he's hot, but one's getting jealous. I get that. I get the reason why they want to do this scene, but this is the scene to stage it. It's just so like, James plays guitar? Sure.
Yeah. It all comes kind of out of nowhere. And apparently doing some research on this scene today, I came across some footage of James Marshall, the actor, discussing how it came about. So apparently playing guitar was something he would do on set to keep himself busy.
He did look like he
between
knew how to
takes.
play guitar, kind of. He was kind of, it looked, I was
Yeah,
looking at him and it
it
just seemed like
didn't.
he kind of knew what he was doing. So I wasn't,
Yeah,
but it's just like, what is
it was
going on?
more believable than most of the time when you see someone trying to finger along. Uh, so yeah, apparently, like Lynch got the idea for this scene from just watching James practice in between takes on set. So James and David and Angelo Badalamenti all got together one day on set and just hashed out this song together between the three of
And
them.
it was
That
the
is
best thing.
legitimately,
It was like, it was so collaborative. It's like one of the best things about being an actor. We could all get dirty and we were all in there working together to create a scene of just, we really loved it. And then you watch it and it's like, to put it mildly, Beats here goes, ah, fuck. I forgot about that scene.
ah, fuck. Pretty much, yeah.
Pretty much. It was just like, this is actually where I wrote the thing about, like, is this like a parody of David Lynch? Like, if I were to write a David Lynch like short film and I made it, would this episode pretty much be what it is? Like, it's just, there's some really just like goofy shit.
I'm starting to see how often he uses like that 50s nuclear family imagery as like a symbol of innocence and purity for scenes like this. It's stuff I think he uses to try and keep it grounded in the face of all the horrible shit that the show deals with. But watching so much of it all in a row like this, yeah, and watching it 30 years later, without like a regular diet of Nick at Night to give you a reference, a frame of reference to it. Because when I was watching Twin Peaks, I was familiar with shit like I Love Lucy and Brady Bunch and My Three Sons, and I understood that aesthetic and I understood the appeal of it. In these days, it feels way dated and just like it feels like an ancient past at this point. It might as well be the fucking pyramids
But
now.
okay, let me say something here. So last weekend I stayed the night at a friend's house. We went to Canby Brewfest and I stayed at his house because he lives in Canby, and we were trash and we were passing out on. I was passing out on his couch and he was sitting on the carpet. We were watching Married with Children. It was like the first episode of that, the very first episode of that. That had to have been around the same time, right?
Pretty close, yeah.
And just how on the nose and like still relevant that felt versus just how out of touch this felt is just a wild kind of it's just such a gap. It's crazy. I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting. Things were changing, but like I kind of mentioned last week about how this was kind of the death of the 80s, but how the storytelling of this carries on, obviously, because this is the birth of a new type of storytelling. Like the way it's told is cool, but man, it feels like all of the rest is just so far behind. It's so weird.
Some of it feels like a love letter to an idealized past. But isn't a lot of fiction like that?
Sure, and I mean Lynch is gonna do what he knows and what he likes to tell. So like I get that. It's just wild how out of touch I kind of felt with it. Like even when like in this scene, you haven't really got to it yet, but she gets a call and then like they're doing the I got it, Dad. But I feel like my brother or my mom or whoever would be they'd listen. They wouldn't just trust you in that moment. They'd want to listen. And especially some random dude that's calling your daughter. I'd want to know. It's just like it's just very like everything's fine.
That's
trust
the sort of stuff. Yeah,
it's interesting.
Would not fly in this day and age,
right.
For sure. Yeah. So anyway, I guess that is legitimately James and Lara and Cheryl all singing on this track.
Wow, interesting.
But I didn't think it was because of how ridiculous the lead male vocal sounds on this. But
like a child.
It does, yeah. It's like it's Muppet Babies is what this reminded me of.
Anyway.
But anyway, we digress. I also hated the stupid faces the girls were making when they were singing. I hated that when I was 12, and I hated it now. Donna's faces weren't as stupid as I remembered them. I remembered in my head they were a lot more melodramatic and exaggerated, but watching it back today, they seemed a little more restrained than memory would have me believe.
It's weird too, because like I don't really get that James is looking only at uh not Donna. Who's the other?
Maddie,
Maddie.
during the second, no, it's easy to tell during that second part,
Yeah, it is. But like the
especially
first is like,
once Donna. Well,
yeah.
at first he's looking at Donna.
Well, I feel like Donna's always. I don't know. I felt like even towards the second, it felt kind of weird until like they do the kind of the cutaway of it, where it's like, oh, he's clearly only looking at her. But I kind of felt like,
And yeah,
I
it
don't
was a
know.
little gradual, and it's emphasized by Donna doing
Mm.
the back and forth. So, but that's what blows this whole magical musical moment when Donna runs out of the room crying after she catches James' eye fucking Maddie.
Jealousy.
Yeah, and oh man, she just goes all kinds of ape shit trying to get his attention with whatever physical means are at her disposal. I'm surprised she doesn't just like grab right for his dick at that moment.
Pretty much was.
Yeah, I mean, it was just I get where Donna is coming from, especially with the advent of maturity. But it all seemed so fake. It just seemed like a teenager playing it, being an adult, and I guess that's supposedly how she is playing it.
I mean,
That's the way it should
I
be
don't
played.
I don't disagree that this is how this scene could have played out. I just don't really buy how it played out. Like this could have happened. This
Yeah.
should have been an easy thing to happen. I mean, obviously he's into Maddie because she looks like Laura, but obviously you
Hmm.
can kind of get that Maddie's starting to kind of feel something for him. That's kind of the
Yeah.
longest. That's the kind of the hardest bridge to cross,
Yeah.
and we never really crossed it anywhere really.
Hmm.
So that's so something that kind of would have helped that a bit. Then it would have really hammered home the jealousy with Donna and everything better. But you know, I can
Yeah. They
see it.
haven't. It seems like a rushed build to this point, which it's
Well, I don't. I
TV.
feel
They
like
don't take the
Donna would
time
have
they
popped.
want.
I think Donna could have popped at any moment. I just feel like the Maddie James relationship hasn't. They didn't really give us anything to make it seem like Maddie was. I can see where James was into her. I couldn't really see where Maddie was into him. So like, just all of a sudden she's. Oh, he's so talented. He's such a rock star. Oh, I just boner for him. Like
Maybe, yeah. Maybe that
maybe,
was the moment.
maybe that's the moment.
He busted out the guitar, and suddenly things changed. Donna is summoned away by a phone call. It's Harold Smith reaching out. They make plans to meet as James looks on intensely.
I
Speaking
will
of
say this. I
intense,
will say this. Donna looks pretty hot when she looks kind of sad and ruffled up against the wall on the phone. On the phone, just staring. I think she's basically just staring back at James.
yeah,
But she looks
that's all
she
that's
looks pretty
going
good
on.
on that like that shot's pretty cool. I like that shot for some reason. I don't know. She looks good in
Yeah,
that shot.
simple but effective
Yeah,
in that one. Um, but yeah, speaking of intense, this was immediately followed by one of the creepiest scenes in the entire series.
I guess. I don't know. I
And
thought it
yeah,
was
like
stupid as fuck, but all right. Go ahead.
it,
You guys.
coming in where it does and when it does, it just seems abrupt. And
You
the
know it's fake.
unbroken take.
But you know it's fake as soon as it happens. It's just like, what the fuck? This is not
You
real.
know,
Anyway, go ahead. Sorry. I
I
will.
mean, the blood was fake when it smeared across the carpet.
Yeah.
It doesn't make it any less unsettling to me. And maybe that's just prior association from the childhood.
Mm.
But yeah, as a kid, this particular scene gave me the willies. I mean, it's just that one unbroken take of him, just like it's it gives you that visual of him like trying to crawl directly into your brain. Like there's no obstacle that's going to stop him from getting to you, and it gives that relentless imagery, and whether it's a vision, whether it's a hallucination or not, it serves the purpose of just making you as unsettled in the moment as Maddie is, I think.
I guess another thing that I have a problem with is the geography of continuity within that scene, because they're all sitting around,
As far as the blocking.
the blocking of it, like the scene, they're all sitting around in this like empty living room, but then that scene, you're butted up against a plant and some other things and a table, and he comes through and he's like climbing over some stuff, and it's like, where's all that stuff in relation to where we actually are in this scene? And so I kept like thinking, like, is this even, what is she just, at first I thought she was seeing something totally different, and then it's like, oh, he's meant to be in this room with them, and it's like, okay. So it kind of, for me as a filmmaker, I was like, I feel like this is kind of fucked. It doesn't,
I get you there.
help me. It's not flowing properly, so I'm like, so it just seemed fake. It instantly was fake to me, I guess. So that's where I'm at on that. I get what they're trying to do, and I didn't realize that Maddie was going to have this, like, what is... It's interesting that she's having this spaceman, like, this vision all of a sudden, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone else is having these kind of, like, weird little visions or occurrences, and that I guess she's the part of the group that has her little Stranger Things vision that her little group has to deal with, and then
Right.
you know, it's I get it.
So,
You don't want Donna. You want Donna to be jealous. You want James to be the person they fight over, and then but they still want to help their friend who's having the vision. So like I get it. It just seems it's interesting. It's interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, for people like me who watched the original series from the beginning, this is one of those standout moments that, you know, just got its hooks into your brain and never let it go in the end.
Beats says the way he crawled over the couch and just keeps coming, the inevitability of it is horrifying.
Yeah, and the unbroken eye contact, like the whole time, the eyes. He doesn't blink. He just stares directly at you, no matter where his limbs are moving.
Wouldn't have mattered. It was out of focus most of the
leave.
time. I mean, they rack focus that up. I mean, he could have been eyes closed and then just being a dick.
I know.
Seriously, you guys were scared about this? I don't know. I just
when I was a kid. Yeah.
I just thought it was comical. I mean,
well, you know, a large part of it is the sound that happens too. Like again with Lynch, so much of the mood is set by the sound design as well.
Well, here's another thing I was thinking just now. This was probably shot last season though, because don't they cut to this quickly at the end of the first season of Bob?
Not this particular scene, no.
Oh, it's just him doing something, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, this particular scene was new to the series.
Okay.
From this episode on. So yeah, scary moment for Maddie. She understandably freaks the fuck out. Donna and James rush to comfort her. Back at the Great Northern, Cooper is attempting a fitful sleep that is plagued by visions and prophecy. The owls that we're constantly hearing about seem to be associated with Bob somehow, as part of the vision includes an owl superimposed over his face. That's probably the scene you're thinking of, the scene of him at the foot of Laura's bed.
Is that what it is?
That's from season 1. That's part of the vision that Sarah had.
They did do another quick montage of a bunch of scenes at the end of this episode, which makes sense that they probably just pulled one. So
yeah, a few of those, some of those were new, and some of those were archive footage. The shot at the end where it's just Bob slowly coming into focus. That's new. That's not something we'd seen before. But again, he's just got that look on his face, and I don't know if it's a trick of the filming or if it's just an affectation he's using, but like the way that he seems to move, it seems very otherworldly and just very unsettling is the word I keep coming back to.
Beats says it fucking terrified them. I was fucking terrified.
Yeah,
I'm glad I didn't watch this as a kid, so I can laugh at it now.
Right. the vision ends with that extra creepy shot of a walking and giggling Bob coming into focus before Cooper is awakened by the telephone. It's Audrey. In her panicked state, she decides not to offer any real helpful information, just managing to blurt out that she thought Cooper looked handsome in his tuxedo before Blackie abruptly cuts off the call. Battis has gotten to the madam, and Audrey's cover is blown. She's in deep shit now. Roll credits.
She's crying.
Yeah, I don't understand how she got. I mean, because again, when she's interrogating Battis, she is very much in control at that point. And I don't know if just like, I mean, again, she is like a big part of what is driving this for her is her father's perceived favoritism of Laura over her as his own daughter. So maybe, Battis's revelation of all that like, just like Audrey, Laura gets whatever she wants. So if that's kind of unmoored her somehow, and she's like, now she's lost her swagger because, all of her worst fears have been confirmed at this point.
Well, it's also kind of just like, why wouldn't you just tell Coop where you are? There's nothing to be gained or lost by sharing this information. There's not like they're fighting against each other. So it's like,
yeah,
it's only in the writing that the writers are being assholes. Because as a human being, you'd be like, I'm here, blah blah blah.
I'm at One-Eyed Jack's. Come get me the fuck out
shit.
of here. I don't have much time. But yeah, instead she decides to just beat around the bush.
The only thing you would do that is if you were a writer, is if you were then creating a trap for Coop and Audrey had another plan. Now, I don't think this is where those writers are at in their headspace, because I don't think that's where we are at this point in the 90s as far as storytelling. But that's what you would do nowadays is like maybe they made a deal, something else, blah, 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 and they want to get Coop out of town. And so you make a deal with Audrey to like, that's current writing and how it works nowadays. And I could see her pretending to be sad to get him to come, blah, blah, blah. But I just don't get... I don't get this, and because I don't think
the Wire or something.
Right, I don't get that this is
faking.
Right.
Yeah, this is what I was saying earlier. Is I don't understand how she got from, being in control to being panicked and unable to speak.
Especially when they had him tied up. Like, why couldn't you like knock him out or like tie him up some more and like just keep the door shut and go find the phone? Like, he's in a suit. He's back in his suit.
Yeah. So I like to think that there are at least a couple more scenes of Audrey trying to find her way out of One-Eyed Jack's and being stymied and growing increasingly frustrated at every turn.
I would have preferred just to keep her undercover at One-Eyed Jack's and not, maybe she gets a message out to another message out that like Coop just doesn't get. Another message he just doesn't get.
She's back in her street clothes, right?
Right. It's like, what?
Like she's expecting that somebody's going to be getting her out of here any second.
It's a very weird, like, we just need to end this and like, she just needs to be a piece of bait. Like, we can't keep going with this. I don't know. It just, it's sad.
Yeah.
And I didn't.
It's not a great way for them to get out of this
And I
situation.
wouldn't believe that she'd be, I feel like she'd be, I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, no, it feels very damsel in distress-y, and that's not how Audrey has been so far. She's been
100%
very independent, very self-reliant. So for her to become, just another gal for Cooper to rescue.
I could see her being vulnerable and sad, like in a quiet moment by herself. But that's a scene that I don't think they'd be willing to go at this point in a show this time. But I could see her, if I were to like remake this scene, like, I could see her, in her bed at sleep at night, like Cooper, crying a little bit, like. But that's, you have those moments by yourself, and then you like pick yourself up and you go. This scene was just like, oh man, they just gave up on this.
Yeah. Unfortunately, like, we see a little bit of a slide here from Audrey being like a well-defined and compelling character to being more of a stereotype, which is really unfortunate because,
she's a very strong character. She had been a very strong character the entire thing.
Emmy-nominated stuff for season one. Yes. She had a really good build-up. So yeah, it's unfortunate to see Audrey reduced to this.
So I
And
put shoot me on this one because like fuck you, David Lynch. Like just I don't know. I felt this episode I don't know. I was very disappointed with this episode. I get it, David Lynch directed
now
this one,
remember,
but
yeah, directed, not wrote.
well,
Remember that as we go forward.
but as a
David
director,
Lynch didn't write.
I get it. But as a director, you still I mean, you're telling me that he didn't. There's a lot of shit that he did in this episode that is purely him.
Absolutely.
I feel,
but
like
I don't know if
coulda,
this character development of Audrey is necessarily one of those things.
But he could put his little fucking child son in there. I mean, we didn't need that at all. We put that in there.
It could have been any kid, sure.
No, it could have been no kid.
Well, then how is the cream corn going to disappear?
That's unimportant. That's also irrelevant to this. Does the cream corn
No,
ever
because-
come up? Hey, Beats. Does the cream corn show up again? Oh, it does? Oh, that's awful. That's fucking stupid. All right. I won't tap out, but this has been this episode. Fuck me. Beats goes, yup. All right, fine. All right, you guys win.
Yeah, dude, it really doesn't get any less weird from here.
I don't mind it being weird.
I mean, that seems to be what you're railing against is the weird part here.
No. Because there's weird.
So here's where we establish this whole thing with the creamed corn. This is now Donna seeing things that she can't explain.
Right.
So, other people are getting a look into whatever background world is sending signals from space here.
All right. I don't know what to say. I mean, I get David Lynch being weird. My favorite David Lynch film is Lost Highway, like I've talked about. It's one of his weirdest movies, and it's very polarizing for a lot of viewers. This, I guess, because the weirdness is just so goofy looking, it just doesn't work. I don't feel that's what it is. For me, it just doesn't work. Like, it's weird, but it's
and
like
maybe
goofy.
That's because of the material as it's written.
Maybe.
And again, he wasn't behind the pen on that. So when Lynch is behind the camera on stuff that he's also behind the pen on, maybe we don't see that same kind of disconnect that you feel like we're seeing in this episode.
Okay.
Is that a fair argument?
Beats says it definitely strays from the eyes of God from time to time. It's still an amazing series. I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm just gonna have to, I'm just gonna have to consume it all and then just finally have my final opinion, right? Like, I don't know.
It's tough to make a judgment on fragments.
It's also, I'm coming from it,
especially 30-year-old dusty archaeological fragments.
Well, it's also like you have seen this multiple times and you were there. You have a nostalgic view on it, and I have not that. I have
Yes, I have a built-in affinity with the material that's had decades to grow.
This is why this podcast works.
It's going to alter my perspective. Yeah, we've got both sides of the equation. I do have a little bit of trivia stuff to go over. I'm going to start with the ratings info that we didn't quite get the full bore thing on last week. So the season 2 premiere aired September 30th, 1990. It had a Nielsen rating, the household rating was 12.2, which is 19.1 million viewers.
It's pretty good.
A 20% household share. Yeah. 1 in every 5 households was watching Twin Peaks that night.
Jesus Christ.
It was good enough to rank 41st for the week. That was the 2-hour premiere.
You know what's crazy? Shows would kill for that shit nowadays.
Oh yeah, God, does that high? Like even the numbers that were getting it canceled, like they decided to pull it off the schedule when it once it fell under 8 million viewers.
That's crazy.
And look at that in perspective for this day and age.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that was the premiere. The episode we watched this week, which was the first one in the new time slot of Saturday at 10 p.m.,
Death.
which I guess in this era was not necessarily considered death at
Oh
that
really?
point. Not exactly. There were some successful shows that had the Saturday night time slot, not the late one, but still pulled in decent ratings, like the Golden Girls and Airwolf,
Airwolf, baby.
right? But it was, yeah, it wouldn't be long. It would not be long before Saturday was considered the graveyard.
God, a David Lynch Airwolf would have been
Um,
sick.
Still not a mad pull. A 9.2 household rating. That's 14.4 million viewers. 18% household share, ranking 68 for the week.
Pretty good.
Yeah, so not bad numbers to start, but you are inevitably going to see them slide.
Right.
I did want to look at the competition that they were at in their new time slot. In the early fall, 48 Hours was CBS's competition. This would eventually shift to Wise Guy, and then in the winter, the CBS Saturday Movie.
Oh yeah.
Fox still did not have anything in the 10 p.m. block at this point. That was just local programming for their affiliates. NBC countered with Carol and Company, a Carol Burnett variety show, and Dear John, a Judd Hirsch vehicle.
I remember Dear John.
Do you remember Dear John? I only remember it because of the opening credits.
I mean, I didn't watch it.
Dear John.
Yeah. I remember that.
By the time you read this, I'll be gone. Just, yeah, so much more. Another thing in a bygone era of television is how elaborate opening credits sequences were.
Oh, and how not elaborate
They
this
just,
one
yeah,
is. This one is so.
Oh, this one, yeah. Like those ones, like they would tell you the whole origin story in like 60 seconds, and they would use the lyrics of the theme song to do it.
It is funny about this one, and I didn't write it earlier, but I feel like with the with the factory, even though it's burnt down now, but like it's using it as the main kind of, it's kind of like one of the first images. It's like it always reminds me of Pink Floyd Animals, except there's no pig flying. So it's like it always kind of reminds me. It has like kind of the same hue color too, with the kind of pink hue, reddish. Anyway, I always feel like that's kind of funny. Like, oh, is this a Pink Floyd? No, it's not.
No, it's not. Just for fun, let's look at what some of the other hour-long dramas airing in this era were. So this is the fall 90 to winter 91 lineup. America's Funniest Videos is riding high.
Oh, Bob Saget.
So is In Living Color. Married with Children is around at this point.
Holy shit.
Get a Life, the Chris Elliott Show, is one of Fox's big hits right now.
Whoa, is that on now in the 90s?
It is on.
Stand in the place where you... Anyway, I didn't realize that was that early. I thought it was later. Holy shit.
No, yeah. That was originally one of the shows that they used The Simpsons as a lead-in for. That Fox used to try and launch their new... I mean, they did this for a long time, where they would use a pilot in the slot after The Simpsons to try and launch a new series.
Where's Chris Elliott, man? I never really got him until like way older. Like back when I was a kid, it never worked on me. But like Cabin Boy,
yeah,
these pipes are clean.
He was on Schitt's Creek.
I haven't watched that.
I haven't either, but that's his recent work.
Okay.
I knew he was on it.
Oh, he's on it, but he's not the lead in that. Like, I mean,
no,
he was like,
he's recurring. He's part of the ensemble.
I got you.
What else was in?
Failed as a lead, but he can be an ensemble character, sure.
Murphy Brown, Designing Women.
Oh, Murphy Brown, Designing Women, yes.
Coach, 30-something.
30-something.
Oh, so this was the fall season where Stephen Bochco premiered Cop Rock.
Don't even know what that is, dude.
Do you remember Cop Rock?
I don't remember Cop Rock.
Oh boy. Cop Rock was a musical.
Oh, it's a musical on TV?
Yes.
Oh my god.
It was picture them trying to do NYPD Blue as a musical. And you have Cop Rock.
What?
Like the pitch for this meeting had to have been Hill Street Blues meets a chorus line.
It had to have been, I have so much money, just let me do this.
I remember
How long does it last? One
promos
season?
for it.
One season.
Oh, 3 episodes, I think, before
3
they pulled it from the
episodes.
schedule. We've got a link right here. We got a link. Premiered.
Beat
Oh, no, I'm
remembers.
sorry.
Beat remembers. I remember Cop Rock. All 2 episodes of it. Oh, Gabe's saying 3 episodes.
We're both wrong, unfortunately.
Oh,
they aired a full 11 episodes.
full 11. They didn't
They aired
bury
11
him.
episodes before yanking it. Well, they filmed a full season. So.
They folded this up, but did they show a full season?
No.
No.
They yanked the rest from the schedule, and it was never aired.
Oh man, you guys have. There's something out. You know.
It was nominated for an Emmy for outstanding sound mixing.
There you go, Emmy award-winning Cop Rock. Well,
Woo,
Emmy
Rock.
nominated.
Yeah.
Sorry, not winning.
That is one of those things that only those people who straddle that Gen X and millennial line are going to remember.
After we finish this podcast, I'm going to YouTube to find Cop Rock.
You can't fathom.
Cannot
the
fathom
awfulness of what you're about to see.
All right.
More notes. So this particular disc of the box set that I'm working through right now actually has a few special features on it.
Oh.
One of which is called A Slice of Lynch, which
is. I feel like we got a slice of Lynch this week.
Oh, we get all kinds of slices. But it's basically just a roundtable discussion with him and Mae Chinamick, who plays Shelley, Kyle MacLachlan, and the guy's name escapes me, but he was Lynch's PA at the time of filming. So I haven't done the deep dive into this yet. It's about an hour long, so I'm going to look at that real close over the weekend, and I'll have prep on that for next week's episode.
Exciting.
So yeah, that's interesting. It looks to have been filmed maybe early to mid 2000s based on the ages of everybody involved, long before discussion of The Return. So we'll get into that more next week. That's something to look forward to.
Are there any other kind of like prior to The Return, any conversations with like Mark Frost and David Lynch where they talk about Twin Peaks?
I believe there are a few that were recorded for the original DVD series, all of which are included on the box set that I have. There was a lot more supplemental material recorded for The Return. I think there's probably like 30 or 40 minutes of backstage stuff for every episode of that.
I just want to know the dirt,
versus
like how much they hated working with the studio or
the
like the limitations, where the hate, where any kind of animosity grew between Frost and Lynch. That's what I want.
Yeah,
I want the dirt.
Well, like I said, we hadn't done the deep dive on that yet. I just did a cursory peek at it. One thing I can tell you that I learned from the early part of it is that Lynch and Frost were initially put together as part of a project to work on a Marilyn Monroe biography. That was originally what got them hooked up. I forget who they said introduced them, but that was initially what drew them together. And then that project fell through, and Frost asked Lynch if he ever thought about working on a comedy. So they then worked on a comedy, which was known as One Small Saliva Bubble, I think is what the title was. Or maybe just One Saliva Bubble, which again didn't pan out. And then that's when they began work on the early stages of Northwest Passage, which is what became Twin Peaks.
You know what this show also used to... Okay, so when I was a kid, I don't know when Northern Exposure came out, but Northern Exposure and this show I would get confused with because I didn't watch either of them.
Yeah.
But that one had like a sheriff or a ranger that had curly hair,
Mm-hmm.
and then this one had a sheriff that had
Who was the
brown
actor?
curly hair.
John something or other.
What period of
John
time?
Corbett.
What period of time was that show? I don't remember when that show came out.
Same period.
Is it the same period? All right.
Yeah, it's airing in this same fall season. Let me see where they've got that one in the schedule.
That was a fairly successful show, right?
It was for a couple of seasons. At this point in time, Northern Exposure has the Monday at 10 p.m. slot for CBS.
That's a pretty good one.
So its competition in the fall is Monday. Well, no, it looks like they brought it in spring, summer. Excuse me. So it was not on Monday nights in the fall. Let me see if I can find where it was in the fall schedule. It might have been a mid-season replacement.
But that was kind of a drama or kind of a comedy. I don't remember. I never watched it either.
I never watched it, but I read TV Guide a lot when I was a kid, and most of the coverage I remember about it gave the implication that it was a comedy. It was about
but it was a full hour, wasn't it?
It was a full hour. It was more like
Gilmore Girls,
30 something, or yeah. I mean, you had stuff like that where, like, L.A. Law would have humorous moments, or
right.
Hill Street Blues would have humorous moments. Quantum Leap was also one that was on the air.
But I guess I always thought like short shows were funny, long shows were either cop shows, lawyer shows, or science fiction shows. Like Northern Exposure, I never really, you're young. I have no concept of that shit.
Yeah.
I was listening to my AC/DC 8-track and reading comic books. Come on. Why? I need to learn.
Get you back to the home.
I need to know what's going on with X-Men, not what's fucking going on TV. So anyway.
Okay, so here's where we're at. Okay, so yeah, this was a spring-summer show. Northern Exposure premiered in July of 1990. So this would have been, it started about 4 months after Twin Peaks did. Twin Peaks' premiere was in February of 90.
So what's the Independence Day to Twin Peaks' Deep Impact? Or no, it's Armageddon to Twin Peaks' Deep Impact.
Sure.
That's what I meant to say.
So the creators of Northern Exposure were also behind St. Elsewhere. If that gives you an idea.
Beats says it was a comedy drama, a drama with wacky people from Alaska.
Yes.
That's what.
So yeah, if I remember right, the main premise was like a city cop ends up taking a job in a small Alaskan town, or a doctor or something. Yeah, here we go. Rob Morrow plays New York City native Joel Fleischman, a recently graduated physician. Okay, he's a doctor who is obligated to practice in Anchorage for several years to repay the state of Alaska for underwriting his medical education.
But no giants, no space messages, no one-eyed Jack, whorehouse, teenage girl, sex ring. All right, Alaska,
but it did
boring Alaska.
It did have Janine Turner, who I remember was like super hot 90s sex symbol.
There you go.
So yeah, Google her. One thing I always remembered
Googling
about
her
it
now
is that it had like some weird like chipper, quirky music that you would kind of expect from a comedy, like that set the tones for those series, like the clarinet, something along the
clarinet.
Yeah, clarinet is also
clarinet.
I think you hear that,
and marimbas.
So kind of like 30 Rock, if you think of the background music on 30 Rock. That's kind of the impression I get.
I never watched 30 Rock, Gabe.
Oh, you're missing out. It's a great show.
I'm sure I am, but
So back to Twin Peaks,
What?
So we're
Twin
all here
Peaks?
to discuss, really. The other special feature that we were going to dig a little deeper into is some unaired promo material.
Okay.
So this first one is basically just like an ABC promo that never got to air, because it sounds like the gist of it is the theme is like the notion of a Saturday night time slot was all a bad dream, because it's got like a Wizard of Oz setup where Cooper's in bed and he wakes up suddenly, and Catherine's there, and Andy's there, and the log lady's there, and the man from another place is there, but they were all on Saturdays. And Catherine is like Auntie M soothing him. She's like, no, no, dear, we're here on Thursdays where we've always belonged. So obviously that did not come to pass. So this promo never aired.
Oh, it never aired. I was gonna say if it aired, you
Right.
could like find it on YouTube probably.
You may still be able to find it on YouTube. I think anything that was supplemental material that I'm looking at from the original series was probably available on earlier DVD sets.
Gotcha.
So yeah, you could probably search for this one on YouTube and a couple others that I'll mention here. The next one we get is a commercial for the official Twin Peaks Sheriff's Department T-shirt, featuring Philip Gerard and Lucy in character. But it's like one of those classic order by phone, mail order kind of commercials, complete with 800 number and a PO box, mailing address, all this sort of stuff. $13.95 plus $5.95 shipping and handling. That was a fuck of a lot of money.
Should have done it.
Dude, in 90s money,
Oh,
that's
I know.
too much.
90s money, man. I wish I had 90s money.
Yeah. I don't know. I was paying $25 for t-shirts at concerts in the early 90s, so
I have 2024 money now.
Yeah.
Not worth anything.
Next we get a strange little Christmas promo with a lot of stop motion animation, with like ornaments and table decor for a double R diner table. And just like a brief little Cooper voiceover, happy holidays, blah, 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 that sort of thing. Just something that would maybe take up a 10-minute promotional spot for an affiliate.
Huh. Was that so this episode was released during Christmas time? Or the airing of this stuff was around Christmas? Is that where
it would have been, yeah, this would have been early October that this episode aired. So these promo materials that we're seeing probably would have been filmed at a similar time, but yeah, it wouldn't have aired.
Oh, I see.
Because, yeah, some of them are holiday related. Like the next one, also a sign of the times. It's a support the troops promo. It's Cooper at the double R with Bobby and Shelley in the background. Shelley serves up a big slice of pie. The three cast members give a big thumbs up on camera, and then from off camera, you can hear David Lynch saying, "The crew sends their love too," and then there's a lot of hooting and hollering.
The feds, man. The feds are always doing
a lot of that going around during Operation Desert Shield. Remember that one?
No.
What do you say, beats? You remember all this rah, 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 support the troops bullshit that we did in the early 90s? So yeah, that was an interesting little slice of Americana. And then the last one we had...
Was it Desert Shield first?
No, it was Desert Storm first, but that was bad PR.
Oh, I see.
Desert Shield made it sound less like we were the invading force.
Oh, gotcha. Beats says, I remember it, but not from Twin Peaks.
No, yeah, I don't remember. Like, this is another thing that this reminded me of, is like, there was a lot of network promos about like what's airing and what time slot that would air with, the actors in character delivering these messages. Another just facet of a bygone era. So that's, a big part of what these are. This is not something you see anymore.
Beats, Gabe, do you know Beats?
I'm not sure. I don't recognize the username, but I'm not on Twitch. So
Beats 77. Do you know Gabe? No one. Anyway. Go ahead, Gabe.
I mean, we know each other now, right?
Yeah, he knows you. Or she, they, them. I don't know. They know you. I'm gonna say.
Ooh, the mystery thickens.
Oh, it's Caleb.
Oh, hey Caleb, what's up?
Shout outs.
I kind of thought. I'm going to collision taping on Thursday. That's tomorrow.
Yes, it is.
The last one, our last promo was multiple takes of what's, I think, a Monday Night Football promo. I'm
Oh,
not sure if ABC
are
had the
you
rights
ready
at
for
this
some
time.
football? Are you ready for some
Um,
Twin Peaks?
but yeah, it's Harry and Cooper getting ready to sit down and watch the game with coffee and donuts.
Oh, that's awesome.
Uh,
No donuts
yeah,
this episode.
and it's a Lynch directed one
I know,
too.
right? Because
Look
the
at
last
that.
episode had a fucking massive table of donuts.
We did. Yeah, we got that long, slow
No
donut scene
donut
pan.
bullshit this episode, Lynch. What the fuck, bro?
Yeah, I don't know. He'll make it up later.
No, he won't.
But yeah, the promo's fun. Of course, it ends up with Harry and Cooper rooting for the Seahawks over Cincinnati.
Oh, for home for yeah,
Yeah,
Washington.
root for the home team.
Yeah. Woo. Oh, I guess
But
that
yeah,
makes
it was
sense. Twin Peaks,
yeah.
Northwest. Okay, fucking two on the nose. Lynch should have voted.
It took you way too long to get there, dude. Way too long.
It did.
So yeah, it was fun watching the multiple takes of that scene, like little ad libs here and there, just them having fun with it. One of the things I noticed about it was Michael Onkean, who plays Harry, was just like had it dialed in, was 100% solid, like just like virtually unchanged for the couple of lines he had take after take. Utter professional, fun to watch.
Utter professional.
Hmm.
Mer-
So those are all the notes I have for this week. What you got on it, Ian? You got anything else to add?
No, I have nothing else to add. I I don't know if I should I be looking. I feel like I don't want to be looking for other content.
Other content as far as
Like I don't want to research and get spoiled on something. But should I?
that's fair. So what we'll do is like I'll take a look on YouTube for you, see if I can find just a video of those promos, and I'll send you the link.
I guess there's a lot of stuff like I mean, I feel like I just want to watch the episode, write my notes, have my opinions, but I don't really want to like get accidentally spoiled on something that's like, oh, I was looking for this and then I saw this and awesome.
Yeah, which is easy. Yeah, that's easy to do during an internet rabbit hole dive too. So.
Right. So all my show thoughts I've already said. Any other I don't really search beyond the episode, I guess at this point. So
Yeah, that's fair.
maybe
Plenty
someday.
of time to do that in our wrap up.
Yeah, it's like do. Anyway, I will look.
Anyway.
I will look like certain actors, and I will Google and I will IMDb and look at the movies they were in and be like all that kind of stuff. Because I'm pretty good at like making sure I don't read anything that I shouldn't. But like I don't want to be seeing something accidentally. Whatever.
Well, not going to lie. Then you may want to stop IMDbing the actors that you see in the credits,
Oh really?
unless you know exactly which character they're playing.
Oh well, this is the cool thing about Amazon Prime or whatever. Like if you stop it in a scene, it lists the characters in that scene. So it tells you what actors are actually in that scene. So it's like, oh, this person is that person, yeah, and then I'll just Google that person and anyway,
Yeah.
see what movies they were in. Not what is. I won't Google what what happens to them in Twin Peaks. I don't do that, but I just I will do that. So like certain actors, like last week when what's her name from Sopranos was in it. It's like who's that?
Oh,
Holy
Alicia
shit!
Witt. Yeah.
I was like, I know who she is. Oh yeah, of course she's in Sopranos. Fucking A. Anyway, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. That's the fun. That's part of the fun stuff, especially watching something, 30 years later.
Right. Did she ever make another appearance?
Gersten? Yeah.
Oh. At Leland's funeral.
I'm not going to add anything beyond. You will see Gersten Hayward again.
Oh, we didn't really
Maybe
talk
more
about that.
often
We actually
than
didn't
what I
mention that, but like
Didn't mention what?
that Ben told Jerry to kill Leland.
Oh yeah.
Anyway,
it did seem facetious to me, but the way this town is, who really knows?
I kind of bought it. And then
You bought it as
and
a
then Jerry
serious-
was like, Is this real? Anyway.
Was that Gouda pig laced with something?
Was it even Gouda? Was it even a pig?
Was it?
Could have been an
It was clearly
elephant.
a pig.
Could have
It
been
was
an
clearly
elephant.
shaped like a pig. It
Was
had a
it?
curly tail.
It
Yeah,
could have been. That could have been his nose. It could have been an elephant.
it was a pig.
Was it?
Of that, I have
Are
no
you
doubt.
sure?
I am sure.
I don't know.
It was. The pigs are not what they seem.
Anyway, all right. I don't have anything else.
Yeah, I think we're going to call it a wrap on this week, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Caleb, good to talk to you, man. Thanks for joining the show. Feel free to come by next week and share your thoughts. We'd love to have you. Ian, always a good time. Thanks for not tapping out yet, because man,
I'm not going to tap out.
we're not even in the worst of it yet.
I'm in it for the long haul. Beats says good
Even
night,
after-
guys. Good night to you, sir.
All right. Farewell, gang. We'll see you on the interwebs.
Make sure you
Blank as a fart pod at gmail.com.
you can write us and leave us some thoughts. Tell us how awesome we are, or
We are. Although I'll confess, I check Instagram a lot more frequently, so that's a better way to find us.
Instagram is good.
Blank as a fart on Instagram. Blank as a fart on Facebook. Fuck Twitter. Threads is
He doesn't
not
check that
great.
either.
Oh, I check it, but it's still not great.
Oh, I don't have Threads, so I don't even know. I don't do it, so I don't know it.
It's Twitter without Nazis. So
Without Nazis,
yeah, I mean they're trying.
they're trying.
It's still just a house of complaints. So go on Twitter or go on Threads if you want to hate on the show. Come to Instagram if you want to love on us. So that's it for us. What are some words of wisdom that we had from anything from Major Briggs? Yeah, we did. Accomplishment is its own reward. Pride obscures it.
That's awesome. All
There
right,
we
guys.
go.
We'll see you guys all later.
Thanks again, everybody. Next Wednesday at 8. Check it out.
We're just gonna dance like this for a minute. Listen to that sweet music.